my name is Kat, and today I want to talk about The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. So, The Well of Ascension is the second book in the Mistborn trilogy, and I can't really get into the plot of this installment without spoiling the previous one. So if you're completely new to this trilogy and you don't know what's going on here, then I did just do a book talk for the first book in this series. So I'll link that below, go watch that. I talk about the synopsis without spoilers. It'll fill you in. For now, I'm just gonna say that I am loving this series so much more than I ever thought possible. If the final book is anything like these first two books, then this is definitely going to be one of my favorite series of all time. The characters are fantastic and the world building is amazing, and then on top of these fantastic characters and this amazing world, you have this mind-blowingly awesome story that is just woven between everything, and it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. If you have not yet started this series, please do it. If you enjoy fantasy or really just great stories in general and you have not yet picked up this series, then I really encourage you to do so because it's fantastic. And that is going to be it for the spoiler-free section of this video. So if you've not yet read this book, then I really, again, encourage you to go do so, and then you can come back and watch the rest of this video and witness me just dying over this book, because that's what's about to happen, okay? Go away, non-spoilery people, bye! Now, going into this book, I was kind of under the impression that Brandon Sanderson had used up his biggest, most shocking plot twists at the end of the first book. And it turns out I could not have been more wrong. This book blew my mind, on top of having my mind already blown by the first book. So, as excited as I am to read the third book, which I will be doing, tonight, I'm also kind of terrified because, what else can he throw at us? I don't feel like I'm prepared. I don't feel like I can ever be prepared. But I'm gonna jump in and read that book anyways because not only do we have these big, shocking moments, but even on a smaller scale, there are so many amazing scenes. Like the action scenes, okay? Brandon Sanderson knows how to write a great fight scene. Like that scene right at the beginning with Vin fighting all of the assassins, that was just cool. I also loved all of her sparring scenes with Zane and her actual fight with Zane, even though that was terrifying, it was still really cool. And Vin saving Breeze when he was coming into the city, really just any scene where Vin gets to really use her Mistborn abilities, that is an awesome scene. Now I read a lot, and I watch a lot of TV shows, and I study story structure, so I'm usually pretty good at predicting where a story is gonna go. In general, not in specifically the case of these books. They consistently shock me, and I love it so much. Even when I do accurately predict something, it never is very far in advance. Like in that scene where Zane was meeting with Vin and Elend as Straff's messenger. Zane has this line when he's talking to Elend about how you're his only son, and I latched onto that, wait a minute. What if he's not? What if Zane is Elend's brother? And I think I am so freaking clever, and I'm ooh, this is gonna be great, there's gonna be a huge, big reveal later on, and then I read 2 more pages, and there it is. Confirmation. Not nearly as dramatic as I thought it was gonna be. Okay, let's talk about Zane for a minute. He was such an interesting character. I will admit that I did kind of ship him and Vin together for like a minute before we find out how crazy and manipulative he is. It was just the struggle that Vin was going through. Like, she loves Elend, and I love her and Elend together, and I'll talk more about them being adorable and getting married in a second. But there was something so captivating about Zane, and you know, he understood the Mistborn side of her. Like, he got her on a level that Elend never would until he did. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Elend being a Mistborn now. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like, that's what I wanted in the first book. I wanted Elend to also be a Mistborn, but throughout the course of this book, I kind of liked how they were different and how they had different struggles, but they were still so similar. Like that scene where Vin and Elend separately both come to see Sazed to talk about like relationship advice, and like they visit him back to back, and Sazed's just like, "You're more similar than you think." I loved Vin and Elend like getting to know each other and getting past their differences and still being together, and like their relationship was even stronger because they were different. But I don't know where this is gonna go now. I don't know how that's gonna play out. I do trust Brandon Sanderson to handle it in a fantastic way, so we'll see. Back to Zane for a minute here. I kind of don't think that Zane is dead. Like, he has that spike in his chest, and that is some Inquisitor shit right there. So I'm really concerned that Zane is still alive and he's gonna be back. I also think that the voice that Zane was hearing is the voice of that thing that Vin released from the well. Like, whatever that creature, being, entity, whatever that thing is that Vin released, I think that is what was whispering to Zane. And I think it's the same thing that is controlling the Inquisitors, like Marsh at the end. I feel like shit's about to get real. Like, realer than it was before, and it was already pretty real. Let's talk about the Kandra. That's another thing that I really did not see coming. The whole mystery of the Kandra infiltrating the group had me so suspicious of everyone. Like, I suspected everyone in the group except for the actual Kandra. Like, that never even crossed my mind. And the funny thing is that I was so suspicious of the Kandra in the beginning, like when it was actually Sir, I was so suspicious. I was like, you are just waiting for a moment to betray Vin, and I did not trust him at all. But then once he becomes the Wolfhound, Vin starts bonding with him, and like they're actually becoming friends, and I started to trust him. And then the betrayal, it hurt so much because I was like, that's Vin's puppy, what are you doing? But then Soon ended up helping her in the end, and like actually was on her side, and it was so good. That whole scene, I almost had to put down the book and like go get some fresh air, because we find out about Soon and Zane, and then the fight. The book was killing me at that point in time, but I couldn't stop reading. Like, I had to keep going. I am addicted to this series. Now the third book is called The Hero of Ages, and I have a little bit of a theory, and I almost don't want to share it because so many people have already read this book, and I'm probably wrong, but I don't think there is a Hero of Ages. That thing that Vin released from the well is obviously our big bad, and we're gonna have to defeat it. But I don't think that prophecy is really playing into that. Like, the way the prophecy was changing to kind of fit what people were thinking, I feel like there is no real Hero of Ages. I don't believe in the prophecy anymore, because that thing just wrote them all himself so he could get out. But at the same time, I'm not entirely sure, because again, Vin is like unusually powerful. I do think that we're gonna get some kind of revelation about Vin's mother, because from what we know about her, like these little bits of story about how she killed Vin's younger sister and like gave the earring to Vin, like, you're the chosen one, something is up with that. I feel like the deaths of this book were kind of overshadowed by the big shocking plot moments. Like with Dachshund and Clubs, I spent so much time suspecting that they were the Kandra that when they did actually die, I wasn't as sad because I kind of thought they had already been killed by the Kandra. I was kind of sad about Tindwyl, but only because Sazed was so sad. Like, I did like her, and I liked how she trained Elen to like be a better leader, but I wasn't super attached to her. I only really liked her because Sazed liked her. I am very happy that Breeze and Ham survived because they're like my favorites of the crew. Finding out that Breeze was a full-blooded noble was shocking. And the funniest part is that didn't even really come into play in this book. Like maybe in the next book we'll get to see some of Breeze's family and like what's going on there. But yeah, I really liked that we got to see a little bit from Breeze's point of view and more of like what he does. My favorite characters are still Vin and Elend, and I love them together. I'm so happy that they got married. That was adorable, and I just love how everything is set up at the end. I can't wait to see what happens. Oh my goodness. Like, we have Vin, who is kind of becoming a legend. Like, she is so powerful and so badass that like she can take out entire armies, especially because she controls entire armies of Kolos. Jesus. And then Elend, who went through all of this character development to become this awesome leader, and now he's also a Mistborn. And he's also emperor of this nation they're like rebuilding. And by the way, Vin happened to release this terrible monster thing from the Well of Ascension. The series is so good, I need to go read it now. Alright, I think that is everything I have to talk about for this video, though obviously I could go on and on and on because so much happens. These books are big and like just lots of things I could discuss, but I've been talking for quite a while, so I should probably wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great night, and I will have another video up soon, so I will see you then. Goodbye! Hello, my name is Kat, and today I want to do a thing about a thing. Welcome to the vlog. Hello, my name is Kat, and today I hit a thing, but it's like off screen, so you can't quite see. Carry on. But I can't describe it with my words, only sounds emitting from my mouth. It's so good. Vin is just such a badass.